we invite Achariya Tan Siang Chye, the director of Nalanda Institute Malaysia, for his remark, The Way Forward. Acharya.
My duty to chart the way forward. And I would like to start by relating a reflection I had some months back. I met this Buddhist scholar, teacher, very qualified person, described applied Buddhism. Because in my mind, whatever the Buddha taught is to apply. It is for us to not just study, but to also practice. So when I thought about it, I thought it would be a good way to, set the tone for this part of the day, where I am about to describe the way forward. What are the steps that we should take? And I think that everything which the Venerable monks described today in the morning and also in the afternoon is the way forward. So it takes a lot of load off me. If you apply, if you just practice what has been described or given as advice, that's how we should move forward. But in talking about the conference, the Wacana conference, and what we have discussed, I think I would just like to, in my mind, just wrap it up in a very, very concise way, what we should do. One of the reasons why we chose Dhammapada verse 183, and I also argued quite strongly for it, because when we discussed the directions more than a year ago, I thought it would be good to follow or to share our ideas on what I was thinking of at that time. And it has a lot to do with what I heard during a speech. I was at Subang Jaya Buddhist Association, and they were having an event where they gave or donated to the needy children school uniforms, school shoes, school bags, exercise books, pencils, etc. And the person who came as the VIP, the honored guest, you all know this person. Today she is the Federal Minister of Federal Territories, YB Hannah Yeoh. And she was at that time, because it was quite a number of years ago, she was at that time the Adun, the representative of Subang Jaya. So she sat at that time in the executive committee of Selangor State. And she shared with us a startling statistic. She said, every week, one school-going child kills himself or herself in Selangor. So which means to say in Selangor State, if it is 4 a month, times 12, that's 48. You would add a little bit more, it's 50, convenient number. There are 50 school-going children who kill themselves. And if you take into account the whole country, and all the states that we have, it's quite a big number. So it reflects on us, what is happening, the mental health, the mental status of adolescents. But that fact wasn't the fact that made me think. it was what she said after that, that made me feel that we had to do something. She said, as Buddhists, you must propose a way to overcome this. And you know, Yang YB Hannah Yeoh is a devout Christian. But she said this to us, all of us in Subang Jaya Buddhist Association, when we gathered. So that tells us that we have to discuss, as Buddhists, as a community, the ways to address or to overcome difficulties, issues, matters, problems as a community. Of course, she wasn't talking about just Buddhist students or Buddhist school-going children. But it is something that when we hear and when we think about the Buddha's teachings, which is, as Venerable Ajahn Jayasaro mentioned this morning, it's an educational system. And therein lies the potential for us to discuss and find effective ways to overcome such problems. So when we had the discussion, I thought, why don't we come together, and we're not just going to discuss about the problems of suicide among young people, but how do we address these problems that affect us at every level and every age group? So of course, when we look at Dhammapada verse 183, we have the first teaching of we are avoid the unwholesome. So from that we can gather some kind of answer to this problem that was discussed. When we resolve to do that which is wholesome, it also sets us on this path. But the third one, to purify the mind, to keep the mind healthy and free of unhealthy thoughts and feelings, that's particularly interesting to me. So I think we've had a good day of learning. We've heard so many wonderful teachings, and amongst ourselves, we also discussed the issues, and we heard the ideas that were offered by each other. So now, what do we do? How do we carry this feeling of wanting to do something, of wanting to advance to the next level? And I have prepared some slides, but I'm going to not just rely on the slide, because this was prepared a few days ago, and what I have heard and what I've learned today, I think I need to reset what I should be saying. So the first one here is, and it's in line with what I've learned today as well. The best practice is the one that benefits you and others. So in this sutta called the Chavalatta Sutta in the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha said, and he talked about 4 different types of individuals. He said the individual who practices to benefit both him or herself and others is the foremost, is the best, chief, highest, and finest of the 4 different types of individuals. The 4 individuals are the person who practices not for his benefit or other people's benefit, or the one who practices for his own benefit but not others, or the one who practices for others' benefit but not for his own. It's this one. He practices for his or her own benefit and for the benefit of others. So what that means is, when we look at ourselves as a community, we should be practicing for ourselves and the community as well. Because it is in the community of Buddhists, of people who find inspiration in the Buddha, in the Dhamma and the Sangha, that we are going to be the most effective in solving the issues that confront us. Of course, we can do it as organizations, but that's on a small scale. If we really want, to effectively solve these terrible problems that are with us, we have to do it together. So, the way forward, first of all, is to have more consultations and discussions with each other. We need to talk. Because if we just keep everything to ourselves, this is what I have discovered, this is what I have evolved or developed, it's only for a small section of the Buddhist community. We need to talk to each other, come together more often, and work on a more effective solution for the entire community. That's why we use this line, well-being of the community, contemporary approaches. It's for all of us. And I'm so glad this morning when I saw everyone gathering so early in the morning as well, that the community responds to this. We are coming together as a group. We sit together in the halls and also in the forums to help each other. And this is where this line from this sutta is so important. When we practice, we think about ourselves and also others, the wider community, all of us together, benefiting from what we are finding out and what we are working on. Then we look at, of course, the three essential competencies that are encapsulated in Dhammapada verse 183. We know what they are. To avoid the unwholesome, cultivate the wholesome, and to purify the mind. But what does it actually mean to us?